Good morning.
Good morning.
We are on board the Oceania Nautica. Yeah, I believe we're on day 15.
Someday, who knows, because it's cruise time.
It's cruise time. It is our last sea day. We've been pottering around this morning, getting a few things done. Tomorrow we have Ensenada. And then the next day we get off. So we figured we'd get a few things packed, do a few videos to wrap up some of the...
Well, yeah. And plus it's cool outside. As we come north of Cabo, the seas have gotten chillier, so we have to wait a little bit to go out and sit by the pool.
Yep, exactly. So using the time sort of wisely.
So, kind of.
So what we want to talk about right now is our impressions of the ship overall. Overall, we like it.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it's an older ship that's been refurbished. So don't get some of the things on the brand spanking new ships, but for us,
that's not a problem. It's a smaller ship. Passenger size is 670. I think there's somewhere between 400 and 420 crew members.
Yeah.
So basically, roughly 1 to 5 ratio, 1 to 1.5 ratio, if I can say that correctly, not a 1 to 5. Before we talk a little bit about some of the details, I will say, just overall, this is not going to be a ship or a line for everyone.
No.
If you're looking for non-stop stuff to do, if you're looking for really glitzy entertainment, high-end Broadway or West End style production shows, you're not going to get this. Especially on sea days, there's trivia, there's enrichment speakers, there's been stitching group on the sea days. I've gone a couple of times, but the rest of them I've been busy. We've had other stuff we were going to do. So there are things to do, but a lot of people kind of make their own entertainment.
Right. But is what she said, that if you look in what's called the currents of what's happening every day, there's always something to do if you wish to.
If you want to. And we met a couple the night before we got on the ship in the hotel we were staying in, and they love doing the trivia and the putt-putt golf and the beanbag tosses and those sorts of things for O points. And if you collect O points throughout the cruise, at the end of the cruise you can exchange those for stuff. And we weren't really doing that.
Yeah, for some reason we were going to do the trivia, and then we did other things. So.
Well, it seemed like we were always doing something else when the trivia was going on. Sometimes it was really important meetings in martinis over pre-dinner cocktails with the people we've been meeting. So yeah, for us, we liked it. We liked it enough. We've booked another cruise with Oceania on a sister ship in October.
Yeah.
So you'll have to hang out and wait for that. Pool deck. I loved the pool deck. I spent many hours on the pool deck. The loungers are the nice, cushy, padded ones. They have the terry cloth covers on them. Great big pool towels that are on the chairs, or if there happens to be one not on the chair, there's more piled up around the pool deck. I never found it to be crowded. If you couldn't find a chair where you wanted it, in the sun, in the shade, whatever, there are lots of other places around the ship. If you're concierge or higher level, you have access to the Aquamar Terrace up on the bow that you access through the spa, which
haven't used.
We looked at it the first day and went, oh, this looks nice, and we've been perfectly content where we've been.
Yeah, she mentioned the pool deck. If you've been on big ships, you'll probably expect more. There's a pool and 2 hot tubs, but never had a problem with being crowded out.
No. And it's a nice deep pool. It's got, the shallower seating around the edge, but there's a pretty good sized main pool that's like, it says 5'6" I think, on the sign.
It's right in that vicinity. Now, when the sea was going like this, it was like a little bit like a wave pool.
Yeah, it was a wave pool. It was kind of fun. But you've got outside space up on deck 10. They put chairs out up there a lot of times. There's mini golf and things up on deck 11 and some seating up there often.
And I should have mentioned the pool is a saltwater pool. We were on one other cruise ship with they did freshwater. This one's saltwater.
This one it is salt, but it's not like if it hits you in the face, you are immediately
Oh no, it's fine.
feeling salty in your mouth.
Just have to remember to rinse the salt off later.
Mm-hmm. Deck 5. Deck 5 is the promenade. It's not a full circle promenade on some ships, but both sides are lovely.
Yeah.
Deck chairs out there. When we were going through the Panama Canal, we spent some time sitting out there and watching
the sunset.
We've watched the sunset from out there. Oh my gosh, the other night that sunset was absolutely stunning. Biggest tip I would give you is because this is a small ship, you're going to be able to get from place to place very, very quickly. You're going to be able to orient very quickly. So when you get on board day 1, go to your muster station. Go to lunch at the Terrace Cafe. Feel free to, if you say you're a couple and the table is a 4, grab a 4, and then somebody comes along and you say, sure, sit with us. You really want to start meeting people because that is one of the really cool things about this ship, in my opinion at least. We've met some great people. Some we know by sight to say hello. Some we have gotten to know quite well and will probably stay in contact with.
Well, they want to stay in contact with you.
And they want to stay in contact. So, anyway,
well, with
so
you,
take
they
some
didn't
time.
say they wanted to stay in contact with me.
So take some time that very first day to get to know the ship, which is kind of a side tip. When you get to the port to check in, give your bags to the porters. Just keep one personal bag that has the absolute essentials, your passport, your cruise documents, any medications, that kind of stuff, those that with you. But try and keep it to either a small tote bag or
I think we mentioned that in one other video.
We might have, but we checked everything. It was here when we got to our cabin and it was ready. And by having just that small personal item, we were able to really take a good walk around the ship the first day and really get our bearings. So that's great. I got one more thing I want to make sure I cover. Do you have anything else?
Well, we have dress code, but
yeah, that's it.
Okay, go ahead. You could start.
Okay, so one of the things coming into this, our first cruise with Oceania, that we were a little confused about. Not gonna lie, we were a little confused about it. You look at their materials and you see guys with sport coats on and suits and ties, and the women like in cocktail dresses for dinner. No.
Yeah, they say it's country club casual, but that's subjective, I think, depending on where you live. I did bring a suit because we're over the holidays. I wanted to dress up a little bit, but that was it. For the suit jacket.
New Year's Eve was a lot of dressed up. There was he was not the only one that had a semi-tux on, black suit and his tux shirt.
Yeah.
There were
tux shirt from Amazon.
Yeah, the tux shirt from Amazon. Lots of glitz and glamour and so New Year's Eve was pretty dressed up, but you'll see more about that in our video on probably just New Year's Eve. You might do one, or activities on board. He has to edit and decide how he's going to put everything together.
Right.
During the day, pretty much anything went. I would say overall, though, you wanted to keep it maybe a little nicer. Shorts and a t-shirt, no problem.
What I have on was breakfast. This is breakfast, lunch, shorts and a t-shirt.
Yep. I did see a few people wandering around with like sweatpants that had been cut off to shorts and a few things like that, and they did look, I'm sure they were perfectly comfortable. Yeah. But in the grand scheme, they just looked a little out of place. So whatever you're good with.
But they won't turn you away for that.
Not for breakfast or lunch. At dinner, it's another story.
Terrace Cafe, the buffet, you may wear whatever attire you wish, but in the other dining you need a collared shirt, which could be a polo shirt, and long pants. And
For the guys.
I think, did it say closed-toed shoes or not?
Yes, guys
Okay.
have to wear closed-toed shoes.
I had a pair of like deck shoes I slid on.
Yeah, we saw people with tennis shoes and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and as long
Would
as
have been
they're
perfectly fine.
not ratty. But we saw people who came up with T-shirts with.
Well, those two couples, they wore just shorts and T-shirts to go into the grand dining room. We may keep saying main, but it's called the grand dining room. They were turned away, and if you showed up at the specialty restaurants like that, you would be turned away.
Right, but you
Just go change.
didn't need a jacket, guys. Didn't need a tie. The only time we brought you brought one, but the only time you've worn one was your bow tie on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I brought dresses with me, so most nights I've put a dress on because I wanted to,
Well, and you're comfortable.
and I'm comfortable in that. Couple of nights I've had on like a pair of pink or a pair of white jeans with a blouse, or last night I think I just had a t-shirt on. But this kind of t-shirt, not,
Yeah.
you know.
It's for guys that need a collar.
Yeah. But I saw a lot of women who basically brought like a pair of black pants and a variety of tops. So the idea is you want to look a little more polished, I would say is a good way to put it. But if you want to put on the glad rags every night,
Yeah,
you
some
can.
people do.
Yeah, we met a lady, delightful lady. She was traveling solo, and she had her sparkles on every single night. And she's on her 22nd cruise this year, so.
A lot of people that we met are really like this cruise line, and they've been on lots of.
them.
I don't remember the highest number,
198.
but I don't know if it's all Oceania, but
Yeah, that cruise, after the I forget what they called it. It was the party for the people who have been on multiple cruises in various status levels.
oh, that's right.
And they go through and say, how many cruises? And we heard that the person who had been on with the most number of cruises had been on 198 cruises with Oceania. So
Well, I don't know if we could stick to one thing all the time, so we'll find out.
and I suspect that person had started cruising a long time ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's our thoughts on the cruise line overall. We can give you more information on our thoughts after our second one in October.
Yep.
But if you guys have any questions on anything, feel free to drop us a question in the comments. We do check those out. We will answer them. And
Yeah, YouTube reminds you anyway, so.
yeah, they remind us. So anyway, have a great day. We'll see you later.
See ya.
This is the laundrette that was available to us.
45 minutes the first time because of fear. Don't be afraid.
No fear, Julia.